pursuing a dream. I'll tell you what, there's millions of kids out there that want to be pop stars.
We're just a group now, that's it. Just a group, nothing's going to break us up.
It's all about girl power.
Hi, I'm Geri.
I'm Emma.
I'm Victoria. I'm Melanie C.
Hi, my name's Melanie B.
We're Spice Girls!
There were rumours that you and Geri were more than just good friends.
Have you got a good tongue on you? I hope so, if you're going to be Mel B.
Me and Geri alone together.
When I first met Mel B, I thought, what a beautiful girl. You know,
there was definitely friction the way the relationship between Melanie and I. She knows that.
She had great boobs.
So you did?
Well...
Hi, I'm Shelby, and welcome to Shelby's Search Bar, a series on Deep Dive where I take you all on a journey through the world's largest database, the internet, and present stories to you that I find interesting. Today, we are diving into my favorite childhood band and one of the most iconic pop groups to ever exist. In the 1960s, the American public would become obsessed with all things surrounding British culture. This is thanks to a raging case of Beatlemania that was sweeping the nation, and the eventual introduction of Britpop at the end of the century. This is when the world would see the rise of a group that would change everything. From music and movies to the minds of children across the globe, the magic of girl power would take over with the Spice Girls. 5 girls with wildly different personalities were strategically put together as a group. Quickly becoming best friends, together they would escape the very management team that founded them, would manage to steal their master recordings, and would take the music scene by storm. During this time, 2 of the girls, however, would fall head over platform heels for each other, and their relationship would escalate beyond that of just a friend. While girl power was the driving force for the Spice Girls, love between 2 group members would ultimately cause for the crashing and burning of the biggest girl group of all time, climaxing in a mad dash to the stage for a live TV performance that one Spice Girl would completely bolt on.
Are we not missing somebody? We are. Unfortunately, Geri's not very well tonight, so get well soon, Geri. Get well.
Leaving the group to cover up her departure and carry on like nothing ever happened. So join me as I take a dip across the pond and dive deep into the wonderful, shocking, and scandalous world of the Spice Girls. The 90s were a pivotal era for pop culture and music. We saw the emergence of grunge, the best R&B songs to ever hit the airwaves, hip-hop exploded in popularity, alt-rock hit the mainstream, and 90s country was at its peak. But during the early part of the decade, there was a complete gap in pop music. Pop was obviously still popular, but it just wasn't dominating the charts like it did in the 80s with Michael Jackson and Madonna. Record executives in England noticed the lack of chart-topping pop music, so they started creating boy bands who were modeled after New Kids on the Block. One of the most successful pop boy bands to come from this era was Take That, and they quite literally did take Europe and Asia by storm in 1993, but unfortunately they failed to crack into the US market. Well, the US was also about to enter its boy band craze because at that time, scammer Lou Pearlman was developing the Backstreet Boys. Anyways, Bob and Chris Herbert, a father and son management duo, were watching as all these English boy bands became successful, and it gave them a brilliant idea. Now, they didn't know it at the time, but this idea, this vision that they had, it was going to shape and change pop music forever.
With Planet Pop dominated by boy bands, father and son management team Bob and Chris Herbert had a vision for a brand new group, only this one would be made up of girls.
We just thought it was time to sort of get together a white girl singing, dancing group because there's just a need for it and there's a big gap there for it.
Is it fair to say it's a girl's version of Take That?
Yeah, in a roundabout way.
I think at the time there was, the charts were very male-dominated. There was a whole host of boy bands, and I just felt that if you put the right girl band together, you could clean up with it.
With a financial backer in place, Chris Herbert began the search for 5 perfect candidates to complete his female pop act. Advertisements for open auditions were put in newspapers and billboards at state schools across the country. In March of 1994, auditions would begin at Danceworks Studios, where hundreds of talented girls from all over England started filtering through, singing their hearts out and showing their best dance moves in hopes that they would be picked. Aside from talent, Bob and Chris were also looking for energy, personality, and attitude. They wanted each girl to be very different from the next, but still be able to come together as one. You would think that this would be a difficult task, but the group actually started to come together very quickly. Melanie Brown, aka Mel B, who was just 19 years old, walked through those studio doors, and immediately before she even sang, they knew she was an obvious star. Victoria Adams was picked next. Chris said that she gave this more sophisticated vibe that was perfect for the group, plus she had gone to college for dance.
LC, she had a very good vocal ability at the time. She had a very good range, very strong vocals.
And I was originally going to go to the theatre, but I'd much rather do this.
Michelle Stevenson would be the next group member as she received the highest scores at the auditions, securing her spot in the group. The fifth girl to be picked was Geri Halliwell. Geri actually had ghosted multiple auditions, but she was super persistent and would continuously call Chris Herbert asking for another shot.
The double doors fling open and Geri bowls in, and larger than life. Even before she sung, I was kind of sold on her really because of her energy. It was all a bit carry on, she was knocking everything over and, big boobs, and it was all quite funny really, and very camp.
With all 5 girls selected, the next step was to get the potential pop stars into a recording studio for a few days to lay down some tracks and see if they meshed well with one another. However, it was immediately obvious that Michelle Stevenson was kind of the odd man out and just wasn't vibing with the music or the other 4 girls.
When I met the girls, there was the 5th member, which was Michelle, but I'd only trained her a little, for a short time, because I know that she had some personal problems,
and my mum got ill, and there was just a different succession of things.
She just wasn't fitting in. She would never gel with it, and we had to tell her to go.
I wasn't really happy. It wasn't really the kind of music which I wanted to be doing. I've always been a bit of a fatalist, to be honest. I've always thought everything happens for a reason. So no, I don't regret it, although obviously the money would have been nice.
With Michelle out of the group, Bob and Chris began their search once again for a 5th group member. They were gearing up to do another round of auditions when their vocal coach Peppy said she actually knew of a girl that she had been working with who was so sweet and would fit right in. That girl was Emma Bunton. A private audition was set up where a teenage Emma would sing SWV perfectly on pitch. Before making Emma official, they just needed to see if Emma would gel with the other group members. Chris said all the girls immediately gravitated towards her, and from that moment on, they were an unbreakable unit. The girls would now be sent on to the next phase called the, quote, development program, aka Pop Girl Boot Camp. A small guest house was rented out in Maidenhead where all the girls would live together and learn to work together as a band. Chris's plan at the time was to spend a year and a half developing the group where every day the girls would practice dance routines, take vocal lessons, record the album, and get their branding figured out.
God knows what they got up to in there, but it was teenage hellhole, I should think. Subsidised them a bit, and we gave them a weekly wage as well towards food and keep and all that sort of stuff.
I've never lived away from home before, but I found it very hard at first. I'd cry a lot and things and miss my mum, but they made it easier.
It's lucky that you've got 5 girls together who do get on so well, because girls can be a bit...
But now because we all live together, we've really got to know each other, and we're just a group now, that's it. Just a group, nothing's going to break us up.
Makes me want to be free in a world where we fly, fly, fly.
Well, we eat, sleep and drink it really. Wake up in the morning, go to the studio, rehearse all day, come back from the studio absolutely knackered and go to sleep.
The girls were indeed worked hard, with a strict regime of daily rehearsals in a council-run studio.
You ready?
Yeah.
Take me away, take me away. 1, 2, take me away. We are so lucky. We are doing
exactly what we want to do. We're pursuing a dream. I'll tell you what, there's millions of kids out there that want to be pop stars.
Mel B, Mel C, Geri, Emma, and Victoria had been working their butts off day in and day out for many months by this point. This is when Geri started to feel discouraged for various reasons. For one, she felt like the process was taking far too long. She didn't agree with Chris's plan to have an entire album completed before even pitching to record labels. Reason number two was that none of the girls had received any kind of contract securing their placement in the group. Now, the lack of contract was very purposeful. The financial backer and manager of the group was adamant about not signing a contract. He wanted to keep the girls on their toes and hungry for it. The theory was that the girls would work harder if there was a level of insecurity that they could be replaced at any moment.
Well, I don't think we'll sign a contract until we get a record deal. So I don't know when that's going to be. Depends how today goes, really, and what writers we can get on board and things like that. Then we'll probably have a contract.
I'd always said to everyone, particularly approaching the showcase when they were going to be exposed to outside influences and that. So I'd always said, look, we've got to get them under a contract. This is the final lineup. We're very happy with it, and it's all working well.
This is when the management team's plan would completely backfire on them. After investing roughly $20,000 into the group, Chris decided that it was time for a showcase. The showcase was not to pitch to record labels quite yet. It was mainly to find music publishers and songwriters.
We haven't got any decent songs, we haven't really got anything to work on. Hopefully this showcase will bring writers and bring new material our way, and we'll have something solid.
We will find the writers today.
Finally, after months of pop, sweat and tears, it's showtime.
So hear me out and let me in. I'm coming through the non-stop motion.
The buzz was incredible. It had gone round the industry and there were people pouring in because everybody kind of thought, wow, this could be different, this could be something.
After the songs finished, they came and had a bit of a chat, sat in a group and basically started firing us questions. Geri was sat 3 steps in front of them, quite focused and very as though she was the dynamic force that was then wanting to take it to the next stage.
Well, we think that there's a massive gap in
Definitely, yeah, for a girl group.
Yeah, we don't consider ourselves to be on vogue or eternal.
The rot set in, particularly with Geri. That was it. She was ready. She was like a horse out of a trap.
After seeing such a positive reaction from industry people at the showcase, Geri started to question if continuing on with Bob and Chris was really in the best interest of the group. Plus, she had just been introduced to and made connections with various publishers, so she decided to take matters into her own hands by reaching out to Mark Fox, who worked for BMG Publishing.
Geri came to me a couple of days afterwards saying she'd be very interested in following up a conversation about the possibility of me introducing us as writers. Geri came on her own. She was relatively unclothed, with a big smile, and sort of looked like a very lovable Barbara Windsor sort of character. It was a very cold day and she had very little on. So obviously with the benefit of hindsight, she obviously decided that was the way to get to my heart. And the conversation quickly moved towards her being relatively unsatisfied with the speed that Chris and Bob were taking the band. From that, she asked me if I'd be able to help her with any lawyers, and also would I be able to take her and introduce her potentially any other managers.
Bob and Chris were finally ready to sign the girls to a contract, but it was too little too late. By this point, Mel B, Geri, Emma, Victoria, and Mel C, they had become a family. Their loyalties were now to each other. So when Geri approached her fellow groupmates with a plan to not only leave their current management, but also put them on the fast track to success, they were all on board. There was just one problem. Bob and Chris had the master recordings to the songs they had been working on, one of those songs being Wannabe. In order to get them back, the girls staged a huge argument where they all left the boarding house with their belongings, telling Chris they just needed some time to cool off. Well, according to Victoria's autobiography, this was all just a ruse so Geri could steal their master recordings, saying, quote, "I don't know how she actually managed to get it. Everything was so Bonnie and Clyde." Apparently, Geri hid the recordings in her underwear, just in case Bob and Chris caught on and gave her the chase. After securing the recordings, the girls started working out of Geri's flat to make their dreams of becoming pop stars a reality. Step 1 was finding new management. Within a matter of weeks, they signed on to Simon Fuller's management team, who today is certified as the most successful British music manager of all time. Step 2 was was to begin working with esteemed songwriters, one being Elliot Kennedy, who wrote the hit song Say You'll Be There. This is also when they finally picked a name for their group. They had been working on a song titled Sugar and Spice with songwriter Tim Hawes, which inspired them to go with the name Spice. Now, the last and final step of their plan was to secure a record deal. They toured around with Simon Fuller, meeting many record labels and executives, all in which wanted to sign them. But what was more important than fame to the Spice Girls was to not be controlled. They needed a record label that was going to give them the freedom to be themselves, and that label was Virgin Records. Geri said, quote, "We decided on Virgin because they offered us the chance to go our own way. We feel as though we are breaking down a lot of barriers as women going up against boy groups and against people's expectations. There's more to us than a lot of those other acts." It was now the summer of 1995 and the girls were all getting ready to sign their big record deal. But first, they wanted Virgin Records to know exactly who they were dealing with a little prank. They sent 5 Ann Summers blow-up dolls who were spray painted to look just like them in a chauffeur-driven car, and the driver was instructed to announce to the label that the Spice Girls had arrived. Geri said they were almost heart attacks, but shortly after, the girls showed up, signed their contract, then threw the dolls in the Grand Union Canal where they bobbed about for days. The girls immediately got to work recording their debut album at Olympic Studios in London and were involved in the writing of every single song on the album. The group just now needed to finalize their branding. That's when they found out the name Spice had already been taken by another artist, so they had to rework their group name, and with that, the Spice Girls were officially born. Finally, after 2 years of non-stop work, the Spice Girls were ready to unleash their music onto the world. The group really wanted their debut single to be Wannabe because they wanted the world to know right away that they stood for friendship and girl power. They received some pushback from Virgin Records and their manager Simon Fuller, who didn't think Wannabe was mainstream enough, but the Spice Girls would prove them very, very wrong. Wannabe was first released in Japan in June of 1996, where it garnered a lot of attention and buzz. Shortly after, in July, the debut single was released in the UK, where within 1 week it climbed to the #1 spot on the UK charts. And just like that, the all-female group instantly became British pop superstars. In late 1996, you couldn't walk past a newsstand in England without seeing the Spice Girls plastered all over the front cover of magazines, which is actually how they got their stage names. Peter Lorraine, who owned the British magazine Top of the Pops, decided to give each girl a nickname that he felt matched their personalities, and it just kind of stuck. That's how we got Sporty, Ginger, Baby, Posh, and Scary Spice. With the success in Europe and Asia, it was time to test the US market. Wannabe debuted in the US on January 25th, 1997, and immediately went to the #11 spot on the Billboard charts. At the time, this was a huge deal. The Spice Girls beat out the Beatles record for highest ever debut by a British act. They didn't just crack into the US market, they broke it wide open. As Wannabe climbed to the #1 spot on the Billboard charts, the Spice Girls would drop their debut album titled Spice. Spice topped the charts internationally, becoming the best-selling album of 1997 in both Europe and the United States. Globally, Spice has been certified platinum multiple times over and has a diamond certification. The Spice Girls were catapulted into fame and stardom that was truly unprecedented for the time. They became a cultural phenomenon with global appeal so strong, it was dubbed Spice Mania.
The remarkable phenomenon known as the Spice Girls. The Spice Girls are now the biggest pop act in the world, shattering even the musical milestones of their countrymen, the Beatles.
Ginger, Sporty, Scary, Baby, and Posh, the all-conquering Spice Girls!
They're making big bucks fast, thanks to the greatest marketing blitz the music industry has ever seen. 18 months ago, the 5 of them just exploded onto the pop world.
It wasn't just the music that made the Spice Girls wildly popular. The world had fallen in love with their individual personalities. They took control of every interview, where fans got to see strong, vibrant women who weren't scared to say what was on their mind, or even stir up a little trouble. Like the time the girls met then Prince Charles and Geri broke royal protocol by pinching his bum. Then there are the sweet moments, like when they got to meet the Nelson Mandela and he said it was one of the best days of his life.
What
UK press at this point loved the Spice Girls and wrote about them in a very positive light, as they were pop royalty after all. But that would all soon change. The Spice Girls had become a massive franchise and money-making machine. They signed many lucrative merchandising and endorsement deals. From the global Pepsi campaign featuring the group on cans of sodas, to being on bags of cheese crisps, there were Spice Girls trading cards, the Spice Cam, Impulse Spice perfume, Spice Girls themed watches, clocks, boomboxes, diaries, school supplies, clothing, toys, and my personal favorite, the Spice Girls Barbies that I still own to this very day. As millions of dollars started rolling in, Virgin Records did not want to slow down the Spice Mania machine and wanted a second album out as quickly as possible. While Posh, Ginger, Scary, Baby, and Sporty Spice were writing and recording their Spice World album, they were also acting in Spice World, the movie. Spice World, the album, released in November of 1997, just 9 months after the US release of their first album. The movie Spice World released just 1 month later in December, and it was a #1 box office success in the UK. What the Spice Girls had accomplished in 1997 was absolutely mind-blowing, but was it too much? Releasing 2 albums, doing an insane amount of merchandising deals, PR tours, and even a movie in just under a year really started to take its toll on the girls. They quite literally had no days off and were exhausted. Geri and Mel B, as kind of heads of the group, felt like they were being far too controlled. Their newest album wasn't selling as much as their first, management was signing them to deals they really didn't want to do, and they just desperately wanted some time off. So they found a way to fire their manager, Simon Fuller, and made the choice to manage themselves so they could be in full control.
I can believe what's happened, because you deserve it, because you worked so hard for it, but it's happened so fast.
It has.
It is hard to believe it's only been 2 years.
I know.
Because we don't often sort of like look back on everything we've done, and just now I was just saying, you know, you watch things like that and you think, I'm really, really proud of my 4 friends, you know what I mean? Like, we've met Nelson Mandela, which was, a fantastic experience, Prince Charles, and it's nice to be able to, when you sort you stand back and you think about everything you've done, it's pretty amazing.
What's the problem with the manager? What was the issue there?
At the end of the day, I mean, obviously for legal reasons, I cannot go into that, but at the end of the day, I'd like to say with my hand on my heart, we are 5 nice girls, and everyone we work with, we always play fair, and there was a genuine reason, professional reason, why we didn't want to, continue working with him, and, times change.
And you're just managing yourselves, and we delegate people all around us to do different jobs.
This is when the UK press would completely turn against the Spice Girls, criticizing every single move that they were making, even predicting that they were about to fall just as quickly as they rose. One magazine even voting them the worst group. The media shift really did have a huge impact on the group, as just a week after dumping their manager, they were booed off the stage at an awards show in Barcelona, Spain.
The Spice Girls have been booed in Barcelona after delaying an awards ceremony. The band wanted to have all the photographers thrown out before they would perform. It is the latest in a string of setbacks for the group, who've sacked their manager and faced rumours that they might split up.
When they finally came on stage, the reaction was mixed. And after they'd sung, it was no better. The floor manager desperately tried to whip up applause, but to no avail.
To add to the mounting pressure, the Spice Girls were now gearing up to head out on a massive world tour. The Spice World Tour would unfortunately be the beginning of the end of the Spice Girls. They were already struggling from exhaustion. Now they were flying to a new country every few days, performing concert after concert to hundreds of thousands of fans. And when they finally could take a moment to breathe, they all had different aspects of the group to manage, like sponsorships, merchandise, and more. This led to explosive fights and power struggles, mainly between Mel B and Geri. Roughly midway through the tour, it all became too overwhelming for one in particular Spice Girl, and the Spice bubble would finally pop. It was May 27th, 1998. The Spice Girls were coming home from a show in Finland, back to the UK, for just a day to perform for the National Lottery Live. The girls had no idea at the time, but the moment they stepped off that private jet back into their home country, Geri had already made a decision that was going to change the Spice Girls forever.
I remember being on a private jet. We're getting on the mini plane! Me and Geri actually were sitting opposite each other. We landed and Geri got up and went, I'm going to say bye, girls. Girls, I'm going to say bye now. And I thought, well, that's really weird. We never say goodbye to each other because we're not, we go home for a couple of hours and we're back together.
Something that you just think, well, that was a bit odd.
Hours later, when the Spice Girls met back up to prepare for the lottery show, Ginger Spice was nowhere to be found, which was very unlike her. She hadn't uttered a single word to any of her fellow group members. She just didn't show up. Everyone frantically started to call Geri to figure out what was happening. This is when Geri told them that she was never coming back.
It was all kicking off. There's phone calls here. We were ringing her. Lawyers were ringing us. And we spoke to her on that day. And we were like, what are you doing, you silly cow? Come on, just come back,
I don't think we actually thought that she'd left.
At first, the group didn't believe Geri was actually leaving. Sure, her and Mel B were arguing at the time, but that was nothing new. They were best friends who both have fiery personalities. They had been arguing since 1994. They had always managed to resolve any conflict and come back together. The girls thought this time would be no different, so they told the world that Geri was sick in hopes that she would cool off for a few days and come back to the group.
Are we not missing somebody? We are. Unfortunately, Geri's not very well tonight, so get well soon, Geri.
There's trouble in Spice World this lunchtime. It's being claimed that Geri Halliwell, Ginger Spice, has left the group.
So where is Ginger Spice? Did Geri Halliwell jump or was she pushed?
Ginger Spice is missing. But is she planning to go solo or is she simply off colour?
We want to say tonight she will be there on stage with us anywhere. Her spirit will be there. But tonight's show is going to be very, very interesting. And us all going to work a lot harder to make sure that the Oslo fans get to see what they came for.
I think we came up with let's just say she's ill and just feel it out for a minute to see if she's going to come back at all. That's what I was hoping for anyway.
To paint the picture of how absolutely stressful this was for Mel B, Victoria, Emma, and Mel C, the Spice Girls were wrapping up the European leg of their massively successful Spice World tour. They were set to perform in Oslo, Norway the very next day. And now they had to scramble to completely rework the show's choreography and figure out how to divide up the singing in just a matter of hours. Meanwhile, while the four Spice Girls were performing for tens of thousands of fans in Oslo, Ginger Spice was gearing up to make her departure from the group very public and final.
I'm in Paris and yesterday I left the Spice Girls permanently. Today is Friday, 29th of May. It's actually Melanie Brown's birthday, ironically. Today I'm feeling really, really anxious and loads of mixed feelings.
Geri has asked me to read the following statement, and these are her words. This is a message to the fans. Sadly, I would like to confirm that I have left the Spice Girls. This is because of differences between us. I'm sure the group will continue to be successful, and I wish them all the best. I have no immediate plans. I wish to apologise to all the fans and to thank them and everyone who's been there.
If you've just woken up, here's the biggie today. Geri Halliwell has left the Spice Girls. Is there life for the other four? We'll have to wait and see.
I don't know if she's gonna ever come back. She's sort of letting the whole country down.
My favourite Spice Girls.
Spice Girls fans were shocked and devastated when they read those national headlines. They weren't sure if the group they'd come to idolize, the group that stood for friendship and girl power, would be able to survive after losing Ginger Spice. But Scary, Posh, Baby, and Sporty Spice ensured the public that they would go on and that this was not the end of the Spice Girls. Plus, they still had the entire American leg of their Spice World tour left. As a kind gesture, they even offered fans a refund on tickets if they decided they no longer wanted to attend the concert, but fans decided to stick by their side. Geri departing from the group so suddenly didn't just hurt the group emotionally, it also had some massive financial implications. See, a month before she left, the group had signed a contract with Aprilia, an Italian scooter manufacturing company, as a sponsor for their Spice World tour. Aprilia was also making special edition scooters that featured all 5 group members on them. Well, Aprilia sued the Spice Girls, stating they misrepresented themselves as they allegedly knew about Geri's impending departure when they signed the scooter deal. Now, this is is half true. Geri apparently did tell the girls that she was planning to leave, but only after completing the tour and finishing out contractual obligations. Geri leaving when she did was still very much a surprise to the group, and that is what they argued in court. However, multiple judges have not agreed with them on that argument, and the Spice Girls were ordered to pay $1.5 million in damages. The group would also lose out on multiple merchandising deals, and allegedly a sequel to Spice World was in the works, but got shelved after the news broke. The Spice Girls had also already begun working on their third studio album, but had to scrap the songs featuring Geri and redo many aspects of the entire album.
The way in which the four of you work on this single, because it's the first thing that people have heard recorded of just the four of you, do you think there's do you gel better maybe on records of just the four of you?
I think it's stronger vocally with just the four of us.
I think also we're happier. You know, I won't say happier, but we are really happy as a four-piece.
Yeah, I think it was quite strange, you know, when Geri decided to leave. It was quite a tough time for us. It was just at the end of our European tour, and you know, we didn't have long to get things together, but we done it, and I think it's made us stronger. And it's always felt really comfortable, just the four of us. And it's quite strange now. It's hard to actually imagine it ever being part of the band. You know, we've got loads of fond memories, but you know, as a four-piece,
and there's always much more room on a couch.
Yeah, we can
much more room. So look, sit comfortably.
Behind the scenes, there was also a lot going on in the personal lives of the Spice Girls. Both Mel B and Victoria would find out that they were pregnant towards the end of the Spice World tour, but would push through doing show after show while attempting to keep it a secret from the world. After the tour wrapped, the Spice Girls did drop a Christmas single titled Goodbye, which was written by the group as a final farewell to Geri Halliwell. Everyone went their separate ways for a while to pursue their own solo careers. However, 2 years later, Posh, Scary, Sporty, and Baby did come back together to release one final Spice Girls album titled Forever. Ironically, Forever was the official end of the Spice Girls, as shortly after they announced that they were going on an indefinite hiatus. The most iconic girl group of all time officially disbanding sparked a lot of questions, such as what really happened to the Spice Girls? Why did Geri leave the group so suddenly? And was there more than just a friendship going on behind the scenes? Through the years, Geri has given the public many explanations as to why she left the group, even releasing a film in 1999 which documented her departure and followed Geri as she tried to shed her Ginger Spice persona.
Ginger is kind of a character that I based on, you know, my wild child days, really. I just brought her to life in my 20s. And it's kind of putting that to bed. I could never go back there again. I think it's like any divorce. You go through all different stages. First of all, being really angry. And then you go through the sad period. I was totally, put in a situation I couldn't stay. I had no choice. Absolutely no choice.
Do you think they wanted you out?
Yes. One particular member did.
The bottom line is, I told the Spice Girls I was going to leave in September at the end of the world tour. That's when I wanted to go. And I told them that at the beginning of the tour, so it was no surprise that I was going. However, I did leave prematurely because I wasn't allowed to do a breast cancer interview, and it was for ITN. And I just got really angry, very emotional about it because it was something very close to my heart. And, it made me question my priorities. So it's there's lots of reasons why I left the Spice Girls. That is the reason. The breast cancer thing is why I left on that day.
The story goes that she always she wanted to do something to do with breast cancer, but Mel B wouldn't let her in. And I don't know that story. I don't remember any of that.
Some members of the Spice Girls didn't fully believe Geri's explanations, and the public overall felt as if there was a lot more to the story. That brings us to the rumor that has been circulating for many years. The alleged real reason behind the breakup of the Spice Girls, and that is the secret lesbian love affair between Ginger Spice and Scary Spice. It is no secret that Geri and Mel B had a very strong bond and connection from day one. When they weren't passionately fighting, they were quite literally inseparable. Whatever little time they had off of work, they would spend that time together. Instead of going home to their families on Christmas, they would whisk each other away to exotic beach destinations. relations. Mel B even said they had a pact that if one of them wanted to leave the Spice Girls, they would tell each other, which explains why Mel B felt so betrayed and hurt by Geri.
Melanie showed me that she was really close with and told me that how close she was with Geri. Melanie and Geri have a relationship with each other what goes deeper than a lot of people think. You can see that there was a deeper thing going on there between Geri and Melanie than just only be members of the group. Because I don't think if any other member of the group would have left the group, that Melanie would have been so negative.
According to a report from The Sun, in the early days of the Spice Girls, Geri and Mel B were in a romantic relationship that lasted at least 1 year. The source stated that they were together in every sense of the word. Geri has also said in her very own book and publicly in interviews that a huge reason as to why she left the way she did was due to arguments and the relationship breakdown with Mel B.
There was definitely friction the way the relationship between Melanie and I, she knows that. And I found it increasingly difficult. Amalgamation of that and being tired, I kind of threw in the towel. I said, okay, I give up.
And was that mainly you and Mel B, do you think?
Yeah.
So what was the cause of their relationship breakdown? Well, in March of 1998, 2 months before Geri left, Mel B started a relationship with dancer Jimmy Golzar. This relationship got very serious very fast. Just 2 months into dating on May 13th, 1998, Mel B and Jimmy would get engaged. Just 2 weeks after the engagement, Geri quit the band. It is highly speculated by fans that Geri was just so heartbroken over Mel B's engagement that she just couldn't bear to finish out the world tour. Now, there had never been any real confirmation of the secret love affair. Well, that is until 2019 when Mel B went on the Piers Morgan show and was directly questioned about these rumors.
There were rumours that you and Geri were, more than just good friends. That you'd had a little dabble. Anything you want to share with the group? Well, no denial. Either of you? Anyone want to pitch in?
Oh, she had great boobs.
So you did?
Well, not really.
Well, you clearly did, right? Yes? Come on, your
Why
books.
can't you answer for me?
I don't know anything.
Oh, whatever, Melanie.
I don't. This is all new to me.
Come on, your book's called Brutally Honest.
Yeah.
You were coming here to be brutally honest.
I am being brutally honest.
But did you or didn't you with Geri Halliwell?
Well, what do you consider as doing it or not?
Did you sleep with her?
Yeah, we all slept in a bed together. But not like that, all of us.
Did you sleep with Geri like that? Yes. Really?
She's gonna hate me for this because she's all posh in a country house with her husband.
Immediately after filming for Piers Morgan, Mel B ran back to her dressing room to text Geri and let her know that she had let the cat out of the bag. Geri was reportedly furious, putting out a statement saying that what has been reported is simply untrue and has been very hurtful to her family. Mel B was very perplexed by Geri's statement. She reportedly felt as though Geri was making her out to be a liar and erasing their history together. With conflicting stories, we may never know if the lesbian love affair between Scary and Ginger is the true reason behind the breakup of the Spice Girls. Through the years, every member of the group found success. As the Spice Girls grew up, got married, and had children, they were all able to come together and work through any differences they may have had, shocking the world and fans in 2007 when they announced that they would be reuniting for the return of the Spice Girls tour. In true Spice Girls fashion, this tour was filled with arguing and was even cut short. Mel B admitted in her book that it was her who wanted to end the tour early as it was all just too much. Despite this, everyone remained friends for years, and in 2019, they decided to reunite again for another tour. Minus Victoria Beckham, as she just felt truly done with the whole Spice Girls thing. There was some tension between Mel B and Geri as the tour came after Mel B told the world that they had slept together, but they worked through it, and on the final tour date at Wembley Stadium, Geri apologized publicly for leaving the group back in 1998.
21 years ago and I wasn't there.
Yeah, where were you?
What happened? Do you know what?
Did you not get emails?
He was in a field. I was in a field crying. But do you know what?
You left the band.
I did. And it suddenly occurred to me this afternoon that I need to say something very, very important that I should have said a long time ago to Emma, to Melanie, and to the fans, is that I'm sorry. I'm sorry I left. I was just being a brat, and I want to say that it's just so good to be back with the girls that I love and with you lot.
The Spice Girls are the most iconic pop group of our lifetime. 5 ordinary women from all over England with 5 wildly different personalities joined forces, selling 105 million records, becoming the best-selling girl group of all time. They changed pop music forever, paving the way for all of our favorite early 2000s female pop artists. They may have been a manufactured group at first, but they seized control of their own destiny and showed the world what girl power really is.